Way to the House addressing a big controversy in Washington. On executive authority, it would require the president to enforce laws passed by Congress, signed into law, but the White House already saying President Obama, he'd veto this bill if it ever arrived on his desk. What does Republican Senator Rand Paul think about that? Fresh off a CPAC win, sir, good morning to you.
Good morning, Bill. Thanks for having me.
You back this bill on the Senate side. Congress has the legal authority to sue the president. Why is this even an issue?
Well, you know, the number one question I get when I go home or when I'm out traveling around the country is, how can the president amend legislation? How can he do this without the permission of Congress? Because he seems to be writing his own laws whenever he feels like it. The problem is we can't sue him because we don't have standing in court. So the legislation that I've introduced in the Senate would actually give us standing so we could sue and say, hey, this is unconstitutional. Because right now, if we go to court against the president, they throw the case out. So we do need standing. He also does need to enforce the law. We write laws and he's just deciding willy-nilly. If he likes it, he enforces it. If he doesn't, he won't enforce it. And we really think he needs to be chastened, rebuked, and told that he needs to obey the Constitution.
What the White House would argue is that that's executive privilege. That you have to amend amend laws, as they progress to make sure that the laws work. What do you think about that?
I don't think that's a proper understanding of the Constitution. Really, Madison wrote that if we were to allow the president to write legislation or amend legislation, that would be a form of tyranny. So no, that's not what our founding fathers intended by this. The executive is supposed to dutifully enforce the laws, and he's not supposed to cherry pick which laws he likes and which he doesn't. So I think if this can eventually make it into court, we'll win. But part of the question is, how do we get this into court?
Wow, interesting. Okay, two other issues I want to get to quickly. This Republican victory in Florida. You worked on behalf of David Jolly. He beat his Democratic challenger in this win just the other night. Here's what he said right after that victory. Quickly, watch.
So yes, Obamacare was an issue. The voters made it an issue. But at the end of the day, Obamacare just represents a view of government that is put forward by this president, and I think many people reject.
He thinks it's a much bigger message than just Obamacare. What does his victory tell you?
Well, I think he's right, because Obamacare is not just about health care. It's about freedom of choice. The president's telling you you're too stupid to decide which doctor you want or which insurance plan you want. Even though he dishonestly said you could keep the doctor you wanted, apparently that's not true. And so it's a matter of trust, which is bigger than Obamacare, and it's a matter of freedom of choice versus coercion. His concept